Welcome back, everybody, to the EU Expansion Tournament. As if you just tuned in, we've just seen that Giants will make their way to the winners' final tomorrow after winning in their first game. But now we have our next best of 5 coming up. But first, I'd like to introduce the new person we have here on the desk. It is Marcel Dexter Veldkamp.
Hello.
Welcome.
The fishes got a lot prettier all of a sudden. Oh.
Nicer shirt too, actually. No, just kidding, of course. And Crepo is still by my side as we will be going into our next best of 5 of the day. Let's actually take a look at the bracket to see where we are here today. We saw earlier on the victory for Giants, and now we will see in faculty as they take on H2k Gaming. Well, it was a very convincing win. It was a 3-0 for Giants. Maybe preliminary thoughts. Is it going to be that easy for one of the two teams here? Is there one that clearly has the advantage?
In H2k was in faculty. I think we will see another 3-0 maybe. But if history repeats itself, then we might as well see a 3-0 for in faculty, because H2k has a tendency to just tilt in general on LAN. They don't perform, they don't show up. But yeah, I can see them winning this game actually fairly convincingly.
Yeah, it's become more of a running joke already, even within the team itself of H2k, that they call themselves choke boys or tilters on LAN, etc. But I talked to them earlier. I was like, hey, you guys are feeling confident? Because I meet a lot of these guys in solo queue, and they're all really good players. They've shown great promise in the online part of the tournament, so they just have to show up on this offline environment and just basically play how they have been playing so far. And they said, yeah, we're confident, but we've been confident twice before, so we don't want to make that same mistake. But it's looking like it's very likely that it's going to be 3-0 either 3-1, because N faculty isn't looking all that strong.
All right, let's actually take a look at the rosters for both teams to see if there's any key players that really stuck up for us. Let's take a look at the H2k roster coming up first, as we have in the top lane Odoamne, we have Lulex, we have Febevin, Hjarnan, and Voidal. It is a roster that we know very well. A lot of players have played a lot. Who for you is the one that stands out, Scrappo?
I think 3 of their players, Odoamne, Lulex, and Febevin, can all solo carry a game. Just if they get their comfort chance, if Febevin gets his Jace, if Lulex gets his Lee Sin rolling, Odoamne plays one of the first few players in Europe or even like the West that played Gnar. Yeah. He brought that over to America when he started scrimming there and convinced even us that Gnar is a good champion. And look now, 2 months later, 3 months later, he's one of the top picks. So one of these 3 players can decide a game at any point.
Yeah, I completely agree with Crepo here, and I think Febevin is super talented. He's like one of the most promising mid laners coming up into this tournament, and he's been building himself like quite a hype. I mean, he has 3 accounts in the Challenger, top 10 right now, and yeah, his set is Ahri, and Jace is like super good. I played a lot of solo queue against him, and I think he's like the key player. If he gets going, if he gets this 1 kill in lane, then can actually snowball the entire game for themselves. And Lulex, I mean, he doesn't have that much experience, and as a jungler, I think he's very good on Lee Sin, but I'm not sure how good he is on other champions, because Lee Sin is always his go-to pick. But I mean, he subbed for Gambit. He did fairly okay there, and I think if both of them can kind of find that synergy and get the first kill, it will bring a lot of momentum into the series. And if they don't lose the first game, then I can see them actually winning the series like 3-0. And if they lose the first game, we could actually see a 0-3-2, because they're very tilty. Like, yeah.
So for H2k, really have to get off to a good start. Well, let's take a look at their opponent's roster coming up now. And faculty within the top lane, Zazes. Then we have obvious Sauce Perfect. I don't really know how to pronounce it yet. Well, I bet we'll find out. Cedrian and the Mountain, a German bot lane coming in there. Do you know them? Have you played against them off now?
I mean, yeah, you know them from solo queue, obviously. I mean, nothing special, but I think the main focus is on other players in their team. I think their jungler, Obvious, is like a really promising jungler, and he showed some signs of brilliance in solo queue. And Xaxis, I mean, we all know him. He's like one of the most innovating top laners, I think, in Europe. He was the first who played Maokai, Alistar, and all those picks when he was in Rocket. So I think it really relies on him to like bring some veteran status or like experience from the whole LCS thing into the series, and maybe they can take them out. Yeah. Also, their mid laner, I think, is fairly like good and could go 1-to-1 against Febevin.
It seems like a lot here is also hinging on how they can start the series, and then hoping that Zazes, with his experience, might be able to pull him forward. Any more thoughts on Zazes? We know that in LCS sometimes he wasn't super aggressive, and we've seen that here in the beginning of the expansion series as well. Sometimes when he was on Kassadin, he just didn't really go for it.
Yeah, well, I hope the veteran status of some of these players will translate in a better strategy. Knowing that H2k has not always been too stable of a team mentality-wise. Do you think in faculty, or maybe in faculty, will just use that level 1 creatively, shift a lot of power on unusual people? We saw the Jacks taking Raptors, Wolves later. We've seen bot lanes do Krugs or Gromp. I wonder if in faculty come out swinging with something prepared to throw H2k off their game and try to ride that momentum. I feel it's necessary because otherwise I feel the new H2k lineup, they have better coaching as well. They brought in over Broken Shard and probably from State. So they have been investing into more of an LCS-esque infrastructure, and they're ready to go to get into the LCS right now.
Yeah, I completely agree. I mean, Broken Shard has been managing, coaching quite a few teams by now, and even Prolly. So they have really good coaching stuff for them. And if it helped them out into this kind of mentality of like, yeah, we have to actually focus on the game, even if we're behind, we can still do this. So maybe he helped them out there. So I'm actually looking forward to see what effect it actually had, like coaching stuff on them as a whole.
Yeah, absolutely. And on the side of faculty, they've played in the studio actually many times. They just didn't win the recent finals of EPS, but they have played here and they played finals here a lot of the time. So maybe that will be aiding them.
Maybe, yeah.
At the same time, though, they did lose their EPS finals a couple of days before, and now you're trying to get into the LCS, which technically will be for like the best teams in Europe, and it doesn't
maybe it was
go too well.
stress already then.
Or maybe they're just throwing a curveball and they're throwing us out of our game by throwing that game on purpose and making H2k feel overconfident. We don't know, but we'll have to see in the game.
It's the mind games. We will see how it plays out. But for now, we're going to go over to our casters for that game 1.
Thank you very much, Shock. So my name is Joe Miller, joined here by Lee Demon Smith and Martin DeFicio Lunga. Never thought it was going to happen again, but we, get to sneak it in one, maybe more than one last time.
Yeah, maybe last time for LCS. Who knows? We'll see how it goes. But what a game we have on our hands! It's H2k once again. They're here again. This seems to be a recurring thing for them. In case you're unaware, they're obviously back here in the Spring Challenger, the Summer Challenger, and here we go again. The Expansion Tournament. Can they make it this time?
So far, they haven't won a single game in the relegation. They lost to Super Hot Crew 3-0, and then they lost to Copenhagen Wolves 3-0 as well. It's kind of weird because they always seem to be one of the best teams in the challenger scene, and then whenever they come down to the very important game in relegation, everything just goes wrong. So they have to really fix it for this tournament.
But let's talk about them this tournament, because obviously that face on your screen there is something that we used to seeing in the LCS last season. Of course, Xaxus moving over from Roccat and ending up with H2k. What do we think then to Xaxus in the top lane within faculty? Sorry, not with H2k. What do we think to Xaxus in the top lane for faculty? Because for me, a lot of people were surprised that he was the man that was replaced by Overpower in that top lane. There were some strange comments that I found strange, at least, saying that Overpower is more aggressive. I honestly found it to be the other way around when we watched them last year. But what do we think to Xaxus in the top lane for faculty?
I think he's been a good pickup for them here in the expansion tournament. They often actually build that comes around him, where he gets the last pick on purple side, or they make sure he gets at least a good lane matchup. Jungle pressure on the top side as well. Make sure he gets going here. He is also a player who pulls out a lot of new things. I mean, he was the first guy in Europe, or one of the first guys at least, to pull out the Maokai, the Alistar top lane, we remember. And now we are playing on 421. I hear a lot of rumors about different top laners coming back. Some we haven't even seen in like 2 years.
Please no top lane lose Xaxus.
Everything can happen.
Yeah, it didn't work out so
I'm expecting some new stuff from Xaxus.
But if you look back at the last game, if you're looking at the top laners, the Jacks in there, the Renekton in there, these are his staple champions.
True.
So if that was to be the case again, sure, he'd be great. But I don't remember the last time I saw him playing Rumble or something like that, who is in the current meta. And actually, obviously, we were talking a lot of North American teams, CLG were upstairs. I was about to say Dignitas because obviously it's Scar and Zion, but it's CLG were upstairs talking about this game, and they were like, why is nobody playing Rumble? Why was nobody playing Rumble?
I have no idea. I mean, he's been one of the best picks on this patch, even 420 as well, where it's so much about these mid-game team fights as well. Rumble is just perfect. He fits in every single combo almost, but nobody played him. I'm not sure it's going to change here. It's often what we see in the challenger scene, where people stick to their own champions and don't always follow what's the strongest. And that actually often bites them in the butt.
It's something that obviously there's seen, especially from these teams, like you say, the challenger teams. They've generally got one set way that they win, and they stick to it, and they'll just keep on playing that same old way. And if it doesn't work, the problem is when they get to these best of fives, generally teams can adapt to them.
Yeah.
We'll see how it works out, though, as pick and bans get underway.
Yeah, ban's already going down here. Syndra taken away by H2k against Salt Pure Effect.
Pure Effect?
Which
It's
I'm
gonna
sure
trip us up, that is.
going to be perfect and Pure Effect and all other kinds of different variations of that one. Doesn't slide off the tongue so easily. LeBlanc taking away Xerath, Jace.
Okay.
A lot of mid lane focus here, Deficio.
Yeah, we're going to see Jace being banned against Forbidden every single game. He is an absolute god on this champion. LeBlanc here, we have seen her 2 times already today, actually been carrying the games for Giants here, so it's a very, very good ban. Generally, we see Assassin bans here against us Pure Effect, and then we have this long-range poke being banned against Forbidden on the other side, but a lot of focus on the mid lane. I wouldn't be surprised to see a mid lane first pick.
One thing that has happened is there's a lot of junglers available and Lolex on that team. This could possibly be a first pick Lee Sin.
Actually not.
No, you don't think?
It's just been banned.
As I look left, that's just dirty. Jarvan, of course, the fallback option. It's kind of like, it's interesting. We'll get St. Vicious here tomorrow, obviously. We'll talk about these jungle picks, and talking with Dexter earlier on, there's a lot of talk between all the junglers. Ironically, CLG, old Dexter, and the current jungler now that's coming as a sub, talking about who is the top jungle pick right now. And they were saying, you know, if Jarvan or Lee Sin are available, they have to be first picks.
Yeah, especially also because Jarvan, he can be a flex pick. At the moment, we have seen top lane Jarvan over in Korea here. So you don't really tell anything other than, hello, we have now fantastic hard engage in every single fight. We have good early pressure on the Jarvan as well. Overall, he's just a fantastic pick.
Well, on the other side, 2 quick lock-ins here for N Faculty. Xaxus going to get his hands on the Jax, who are, you know, talking about Xaxus and how much of an impact he's going to have. The fact that he likes champions like the Jax that we've already seen today. Also locked in will be Janna. Doesn't quite fit Mountain, you know, that name. Like, you got to play Braum if you called Mountain, not really Janna.
No, but Janna has just been, if not the best support, at least up there with the top 2, top 3 supports. She's so good at disengaging. Jax, I'm a little bit surprised to see so much Jax being played. He was buffed in 421. I mean, the late game was buffed, but his early game is still fairly weak. One of the reasons people like him is because you can start a jungle camp at level 1. Like we saw in the last series, you get instant level 2, you go back to base, teleport top lane. Yeah, your jungler is going to whine, but who cares? As long as you're winning the lane as Jax, it is fine.
I wonder if it's just a case of they saw that slight buff and they was like, whoa, play Jax again. Jax was, because he was king of that top lane.
It is
one
a super
thing that
risky
did sneak through in the picks and bans was Zed, and that's a standard ban generally in the 421 and 420, but it stuck through. Forbidden's gone on it. We'll see how it works out for him.
Yeah, and often actually being a ban against Forbidden, he's a really, really strong assassin player. His mechanics are top-notch. Dexter was talking about it as well. Corki pick, small nerf, on the queue, a little bit slower now, but still super, super strong. I'm actually again surprised in the last series, we didn't really get to see a lot of Corki. Now, H2k really showing they play the top meta champions.
So, for Faculty, then, what do they lock in here? Janna and Jax already in there. Azir we've seen today, and Azir, his damage is just ridiculously strong.
Yeah, you normally, if you want to shut down an Azir in lane, you need to have some kind of CC, and your jungler obviously comes in. This time around, there's a Zed, which is not the best for Azir because it can force him into building early armor, and he actually wants to get Morel and Nomicon as fast as possible, spam out your soldiers, spam your poke. We're going to have to see if they do want to lock it in. For now, they waited and decided on something else.
Well, we may even see the Graves again once again, so standard sort of AD carries in this meta, it seems. We've seen a lot of it throughout. Forbidden, Hyanan, on Corki, it's something we saw probably, I think it was back in Summer Challenger, he was playing it almost constantly as well. So
was also the best AD carry pick at IM San Jose, where he was just first picked. It fits so well in these siege comps, and we talked about on analyst desk how get the second dragon now on 421, 15% more damage to towers, have Corki with Trinity Force and Magic
Speeds
Pen.
up that game so much.
You can just siege down towers so easily, you have so much poke. And H2k are already setting up here for 1-4 comp running, where you have Jarvan push the flag down in front of the tower as well, you get the attack speed, and Corki just stands there and poke. Now you're in 1-3-1 with the Lissandra coming in.
How did Lissandra sneak so far through? That's unbelievable. Can't believe he's got through. So that's going to be a Lissandra in the top lane up against the Jax.
Yeah, so that's basically a matchup where Lissandra is going to say, I'm going to push 24/7, and my TP ganks are way stronger than yours. So this is definitely an edge here for H2k. I really like the setup they have made. You have the Jarvan, you have the Lissandra for the very strong ganks, you have the Corki for the early game, the mid game, and of course the Zed pick in mid lane here. If Azir gets locked in, that is a very explosive matchup, and they could go kills both ways.
Well, let's see if that's what Soz Pure Effect decides that he wants to lock in. The rest of the team there just waiting for that mid laner to make his choice. And while we've got this, you know, a little bit of time here, actually it would be a last-second switch out there. They decide to go for Ahri in that mid lane up against Zed.
Yeah, I quite like that. Ahri, early game, before you go back the first time and get your arm guard so you get some armor, has a little bit of trouble against Zed, but once you get the arm guard, you can actually start taking these one-on-one trades in the mid lane. So Soz Pure Effect, not afraid of a Bivin, wants to go in, play dirty, and see who has the best mechanics.
Yeah, we'll see how this works out, of course. If you're unfamiliar with Faculty, they did play in EPS this weekend, actually, and they lost 2-0.
Yes.
Didn't play with Zazas because they needed the 3 German rules, so they had a substitute top laner, but that's not the confidence builder you really needed coming into this expansion tournament.
I hope they've taken it the way of, we've got a sub, we go to EPS finals, we play it, if we win, we win, if we lose, we lose, and we don't think about it whatsoever coming into expansion, because there were some long, drawn-out games, to be honest, that just didn't work out for Faculty. So they've just got to forget that and go back to, you know, what the plan has been practicing with Zazas.
Well, my worry was that they were maybe hiding things. They didn't want to show anything. But actually, if you look at the pick and bans, they're very similar. So I'm not sure they were hiding anything. They were maybe practicing it.
Well, this is something that me and Deficio were talking about earlier, that Faculty, if there was ever a team that you could call standard in terms of picks most of the times and play, it might just be them.
They have these set champions, they play them over and over. They're very consistent in the way they play, which is not always a good thing, because if you want to peak in a final and actually win it, which has been a problem for Faculty in the past, you need to be able to do that. But they're just super consistent, super standard.
Well, they've got a lot of support behind them here in Cologne, that's for sure. They are crowd favourite, I think it's safe to say, but clearly the head-to-head favourite is H2k in that top lane. As you can see, it is Odoamne in the top lane, Lolex in the jungle for Bivin in the mid lane, Hyanan as the AD carry, and Voidal on support.
And on the other side, Faculty, Zazas in the top lane, Obvious in the jungle, Soz Pure Effect in the mid lane, Cedric AD carry, and the Mountain on support.
I'd love to see who's bigger, him or Libic. I want to see them compared.
Still Libic.
I'm going to vote on Libic. I'm going to vote on Libic.
Libic's a big boy, that's for sure. So here we go, ladies and gentlemen. It is game 1 of a best of 5 in the LCS expansion. We've already seen one team go through in the form of a Giants Gaming. They are into the finals, which will be happening, I think, on Saturday.
Yeah,
Saturday's the winners' final.
Yes. The winners' final. And of course, tomorrow will be another best of 5, which will be the loser of this game versus... trying to think who just lost the last game. Nobody helping me out there. Reason Gaming, that was it. It only happened like 10 minutes ago. It's like brain's already gone. So here we go. Anything new coming out? We'll see. It's just a lot of warding coming out, and a lot of deep warding actually.
Yes.
From H2k.
I really like the start here from H2k, because you want to get inside the jungle now and you want to ward on the camps, so you can see, oh, is a Jack starting on Raptors, where there is now a ward being placed by H2k. They can either go and try and stop him, or at least react to it. No, he's standing on these Raptors, getting this early level 2, and you won't be surprised in the lane. Basically, you can do the safe wards we see from Recent Gaming, from Faculty. They just don't tell you much, because you saw H2k run straight past them, place the deep wards on the blue buff, on the Raptors. You now know where the enemy jungler is starting, you know if the enemy dual lane is on the bottom side, because they would be doing the grump, and they get all the information they need.
Well, let's see. We are going to see Zazas kicking things off with the Raptors, something we've seen these top laners doing over and over again. Even got a little bit of help, but probably the more interesting thing is the fact that we will be seeing the lane swap coming in here. Cedric just grouping those minions up. Actually didn't quite work out, I think, as he expected there. And Zazas is really, really low there. Odoamne coming around, only as skilled as Q, and actually will be able to get it.
Will be able to get out. I was a little bit fast there, but I knew they were going to fight over this Raptor because of the ward earlier, of course. Does go to Zazas. That's actually very important, because it gives him that full level early on here, and Odoamne just have to go back now and run in the jungle with Lulex.
It's good to be back with you, Deficio. It's good to be back.
Yeah, it's nothing to do with the fact that, you know, the screen on your side is a couple of seconds ahead and you were looking at the wrong one.
I've seen enough games. They will always fight for the Raptors.
Schoolboy error right there. Oh, you know, I'm going to predict a pause. Oh, I was ahead of it. Too far.
Damn.
See, that's the beauty that we have, or not if you're Deficio and you get excited before it happens for you guys at home. But once this gets started, once this gets fixed, we'll be getting straight back into it, of course. But big thing that we've seen up until now is obviously that lane swap coming in from Faculty.
Yeah, and lane swaps have changed a little bit here in 421 because the Dragon now will always finish his attack. So you can no longer do this level 1, level 2 Dragon where you just like dance around it. It never hits anyone and you just take it for free, which we often saw people on the bottom side do when you did swap your duel into the top side.
It's the full hit AE as well.
It will do AoE hit, magic damage, and it will always finish the attack now. So early Dragon is super risky. We probably won't see it at all, meaning these lane swaps, you can actually go for them and don't worry too much about what the enemy team is doing on the Dragon. It also means we're going to see a lot more roaming between the supports, the junglers. We're going to see some mid lane fights most likely because there's really no point for your support to be sitting in this 2v0 lane swap because right now they're just waiting to get level 2 and then we can see them roam away from it, start placing some wards, get some ganks.
And how do we see that buddy system these days? I mean, how do we compare it to, say, if someone was watching back at World Finals, how is it different? Differented? Is that a word? How does it differentiate?
Well, so now, again, because you don't worry about the Dragon, you can focus on farming the jungle here, but you have to be on the side where, if you want to fast push the lane at least, you have to be on the side where your dual lane is, because if the enemy top laner comes down, like Xaxus is actually trying to do, once we actually come back from this pause, then you have to be there and you have to be able to dive him, force him away from the tower so he cannot get that farm.
So it looks like Odomne and Lolex will be on the bottom side, which kind of sets them up perfectly for that fast push if they want to go for that. Do the top side, do your bottom side, and then go into that lane where your duo are in fact waiting. And we'll see how they actually go about this one. Of course, red buff needs to be done first, and then they can start moving around. Yeah,
so it is a little bit late for H2k because they did the full clear, and Odomne walked into the Raptor, didn't manage to get it, had to walk back. And on this bottom side, there was no freeze from H2k, so they're going to push it into the tower. But in faculty are already here. 2 members, Elise is nearby, so now it's too late actually for H2k to stop it. And that's a lot of farm being picked up now by Xaxus.
Yeah, and you can see Sedion doing a good job holding that lane exactly where it needs to be. So if we just look down the bottom lane, we can see Xaxus is about to pick up everything from this tower. I don't think he's going to let too much clear.
But as soon as you see Mountain down this bottom side as a support, Odomne knows, okay, I can go top side. It is a one-on-one against the AD carry. And he's doing it so early in the game that he should be able to push it out.
Oh, Xaxus actually getting hooked in there, but with that counter-strike up, won't be taking too much damage. As I say that, he jumps into the phosphorus bomb.
He lost a fair bit of gold as well.
Yeah. Actually, he was on 4 CS before that full wave, I think, hit the turret, so wasn't able to pick up a massive amount of that. We did just see Lolex moving up there, so it looks like they might try and impact this top lane, but there is a ward already put down, which means that Graves will spot him coming up here early on, and Lolex will be basically wasting time if he were to stick around, which luckily for him he's not doing. He's just going to go straight back down towards Raptors.
Yeah, and Lolex is mainly top here. Oh, he might actually see obvious. But he mainly went top simply to make sure there was no Elise coming and ganking the Lissandra, because they have to be able to get some XP and farm on her on the top side. And Elise showed herself bottom lane for like a few seconds, then disappeared. Instantly Lolex react, go top lane, make sure your top lane is safe here, because he's now getting solo XP in this lane, which is super important on Lissandra. Get your level 6 and you can start making TP plays.
Well, we'll see how it works out for him at the moment. Obvious, we saw him throw that pink ward down. It was in sight of Lolex. We'll see whether he comes around to try and clear it out. He's going to spot that one because he's got the buff on him. I always wonder why people put the ward down first. He knew the ward was there, but now Fibbiman's like, all right, I'll come and clear your ward before you... yeah.
Yeah, I agree. I mean, I don't do it in solo queue because I never make any mistakes, even though I've actually been practicing a lot of jungle lately.
Well, maybe there's still a chance for you, buddy.
Maybe
there's still a chance.
If any team needs a jungler, you can...
Well, Saintfish's just requalified, so you never know.
You never know. Even the old people can come back.
Well, Crepo's watching in the other room. He'll be thinking a similar thing as well. As we are going to see Lolex coming around. There's an instant flash there from Sol's Purific. Didn't actually land the charm after that, though, so was not able to bring anyone into tower range. Would probably only have been maximum 1 hit from that mid tower either way, but that's a flash burnt now on Ari. We'll be hitting 6 pretty shortly anyway, so that should help things out, as Obvious is finally going to go through and clear off that pink ward from earlier.
And we actually see ranges here on Lolex. It's not what we see on Jarvan anymore in 4.21 because it's been nerfed. You no longer get the reduced cooldown on Smite, which basically means you now just have a Smite which stun the minions, and that is about it. Gives you a bit extra sustain. Stalker's Blade has been the optimal jungle item on Jarvan as well. You get the extra slow for your ganks here, but he just wants to clear Speedy and wants to make sure he doesn't drop low at all.
Down in his bottom lane, the hook coming out there. Mountain getting pulled in from that one. The Phosphorus bomb does land as well, and Mountain extremely low there. Voidal choosing not to use his Ignite in that scenario. Might have just been enough to finish him off. Cedrian, on the other hand, did still have that summon a heal available, so could have been a bit of a toss-up and maybe wanted to secure that for a little later on, where a more safer kill, more safe opportunity to use that would have been possible for him. If we look actually at the CS between the top laners, I don't know what I was trying to say there, between the top laners, a 10 CS lead actually for Odoamne in that 1 versus 1 just shows how much pressure the duo of H2k have put on Xaxus.
Yeah, and also Odoamne alone in this top lane one-on-one here. Graves is one of the best AD carries at being one-on-one and like zoning away the enemy top laner, but you can't deny him the farm here. You cannot deny him the XP.
Yeah.
He's going to hit level 6 right now, and instantly Lulex is on this top side here. They want Cedrian to move forward, and then we can see the gank.
Obvious nearby as well. They've just pinged and knew that there was a ward already in that bush, but look at Obvious. So close by. Is he going to go for it? Yes, he is. Oh, it doesn't quite catch him. Has to use his ultimate. He needs the support of Lolex very quickly because he's going to go down. There's first blood. It's Cedrian that comes in. Obvious picks it up. Lolex might be able to get Obvious here, but they could turn it into a 2 for 0. You can see Cedrian going to keep on chasing. Obvious dives on this one. The flash comes in. The tower hit. I think he got the heal and level up at the right time as well, Obvious. And he lives. It's a 2 for 0.
But in faculty here, read H2k like a book. As soon as Lissandra hit level 6, they knew Lulex was going to be top lane, so Obvious was waiting there. You even saw Cedrian dash into the bush, so he couldn't be targeted by the ulti from Lissandra, and they just turned it around, pick up 2 kills there. Was so well played.
I'm proud of us that we've not made an obvious joke just yet. I'm sure that will happen before the end of this first game anyway. But yeah, that leaves Faculty 2-0 up, 400 gold, the advantage that they've got from that one. Mid lane has also been back here. Cutlass, of course, for Zed. We're seeing that Morellonomicon coming out for pure effect in those next moments as well. We are finally going to see the 1 versus 1 now on this top side of the map. As Xaxus comes up there, 10 CS behind, Fiendish Codex plus double Doran's ring for Odoamne, which means he can be spamming those abilities really quick, clearing those waves and damaging the Jax under his tower.
Yeah, getting this early cooldown reduction is so important on Lissandra. We often see cooldown reduction boots and straight into a Morellonomicon because you want to hit those 40%. So you can just spam your Q. Your E as well goes down to like a 12-second cooldown at rank 1, and you just need your control mage. You need to be able to apply all this CC constantly, and you need to be able to spam your Q to farm up and for your damage as well in the team fights.
With that pressure on the bottom lane, we see the first tower of the game go down. H2k claps that one. That may actually open up some dragon opportunities early on with that backup gone down the bottom lane. Odoamne still sitting around the top. Xaxus really wants them to try and make something play, but Obvious, again, walking into a ward, will spot it out, and will back away. No gank coming this time around.
They did have the Raptor here, so at least cleared the water wave, but the wave was actually pushing towards Odoamne when Xaxus came back to the lane just to make it even worse for him. So there's a big wave now Odoamne can pick up. He is ahead in XP, he's ahead in gold. All in all, the lane swap worked out for H2k this time around, because they got this one-on-one so early. As soon as Faculty showed at level 2 in the bottom side, instantly Lissandra could just farm up.
So push here onto that tower. Salt Pure Effect pretty low, I'd say, at this stage, especially with a level 8 Zed coming in. There is Hjarnan joining around as well. Zed also having that blue buff on. Even Jarvan was there. So 4 men from H2k just gathering around that middle turret. And actually, they're going to push it back once again. Salt's Pure Effect's gone back for his blue
Didn't even get it.
buff, which went over to Elise. Yeah, they messed that one up.
Yeah,
Spiderlings
took it here.
Poison tick, could be anything. I mean, it's just, yeah, that's not good though.
Even the fact that Ari is actually not building an arm guard early on here is really risky, because it means Zed has this all-in potential on you all the time, and that's why he's staying close to his tower, playing super passive. Forbidden has completely taken over the lane. Morello, again, you want to have the Morello early on just because it gives you the cooldown reduction, the AD ability power, but you need that arm guard.
Xaxus happy to let the wave push back towards him. He's down a fair amount of CS on Odoamne in that top lane right now. Odoamne going back to complete that Morellonomicon, I feel. No, gone for boots, actually, so he's not going to go for the complete. Needed that a little bit of mobility before he completed. Cedron having to farm out some of the jungles. He's pushed the wave right down, which means he's going to be starved a little while Hjarnan catches back up in CS, but he is happy, as you can see, to just freeze that lane here as long as possible. And Cedron That's going to force him to try and steal away the jungle, which is going to cause problems for Obvious.
Or maybe he wants to go in and push this mid lane here. Febiven is coming back. It's a very, very small wave. You're not going to be able to get a lot of hits, but it's one of the things you can do with Janna because the shield is so good. Put it on your AD carry and just early siege on these towers here. Just not ideal.
Yeah.
And Zaz is in trouble.
Yeah, this is a big bait. Zaz's coming in, actually has to flash, but the Cataclysm will lock him up here. The Q actually missing there,
yeah.
and Zazas jumps away onto the minion. We'll see now, because Obvious is even coming up through the river. Will he have the damage here to lock down Lissandra? Probably not without that cocoon landing. Odo, I'm neither going in though. Takes a face full of Spider, and there is the repel as well. Obvious wants to go for this, but the claw will take him out to safety. But now so Pure Fate
he
has
wants
come
something.
around the side. A charm would be able to get the kill. There is the ultimate. Maybe doesn't even need the charm. There is a lockup. Odoamne goes low. Finished off in the end. It was a nice roam up from that mid lane.
Febiven's coming up the river. He could find some juicy targets. Obvious is going to be one. He surely will go down. One more hit's enough, but he's quite. He had to burn his ultimate. He pops away. He's going to drop and pop. That will be one. Can he get more? That's the question. You can see Sos Perfect was covered by the tower, taking too much damage. He's going to try and back away in the tower. Hjarnan coming around. Valkyrie in towards him. Can he die to the tower?
rocket?
Have they got enough?
No.
The rocket doesn't land. The tower damage does it, and nobody picks up the kill.
But still, yeah, man, that was a lot of actions. Everything started with the gank. Odoamne and Lulix in the top lane didn't kill Zazas here, and then just one after another, people just came back to this top lane here, traded some kills. Still, a lot of farm loss in mid lane again, though, by Sos Perfect. And this mid tower will take a beating.
If not, go down completely. We'll get the shield T, which will help hold them in a little bit, but Zazas takes a blast after getting hooked there by Voidal. And finally, they will be getting Sos Pure Effect back out of base. Cedric still having to farm up through the jungle because of that wave, which is actually now, funnily enough, pushing back in his direction. So he should be able to get a bit more farm added in. He's actually just slightly ahead, only by the 1 CS. If you look at gold overall, it's actually 200 gold in the lead because of that kill and assist.
If H2k can keep in faculty in this mid lane, then all that farm building up in his bottom side should go to waste here, or at least if Cedric moves over to try and clear it, then the mid tower is open. Cork is already sitting here. 24th isn't completed yet, but he's already able to siege. And H2k very clearly showing they want to do 1-3-1, Zed in one side lane, Lissandra in the other one with the teleport, and then Corky is going to have one of those lovely AD carry games where you basically just sit in mid lane and you just clear the minions, and whenever there's a tower you can hit, you do it.
I wonder also how much that's going to pull Zazas away from his top lane. We saw him down the middle there a moment ago, just covering off defensive duties. He hasn't got that Triforce completed. He needs to get that on there. He's not exactly a scary beast right now, let's put it this way. I think Odoamne could probably quite happily duel him if he was to go for it. Instead, he sees him. You can see he lands a couple of those shots, and he just goes straight for it. Zazas can do nothing here. He's going to leave strike away. You can see he's already used that counter strike. He just has to pop the ulti, run for his life, and Odoamne is dominating the lane now.
But both teams sending the jungle top lane again and again and again. Obvious he's there every single time Lulix come for the gank. It is very clear, and Faculty wants to make sure that Jax and Zazas is doing well, and of course H2k want to try and shut him down early.
It's actually a little bit weird from Odoamne there. He used his ultimate and then his W while he was in the ultimate, which kind of surprised me. Usually you'd wait and then lock him up a second time, but no, managed to get away straight away after that. So H2k have the lead, 500 gold almost in their favor. 1-0 up in turrets, and now Febiven getting into that role. Brutalizer with a cutlass, and that Blade of the Ruined King will be coming through here soon. In fact, he's just recalling, may even be able to finish that one off with that return to base. Morellonomicon, of course, was done for the top lane. Jax is still a little way off getting his Trinity Force done.
And nobody can stop Zed in a one-on-one here. It's, again, one of the reasons H2k put so much focus on Jax, who was the guy who was supposed to stop Zed in the one-on-one here. Keep him down, deny him as much farm as possible. Febiven, once he gets his Blade of the Ruined King completed as well, I mean, he can just one-on-one whoever he wants to.
Well, the wards have been cleared. They're going for the first dragon. And at the moment, Faculty are not exactly in a position to challenge. That's going to be a simple one for H2k. There is the 6% bonus buff.
A little bit too easy just to pick it up.
Very easy.
I mean, they had all the lanes pushed up, especially in the bottom lane, and then they just moved straight for the dragon while in Faculty was just clearing the wave. So a little bit too easy on the first one. It is only 6% now for the first dragon instead of 8. He had 4.21, but it is still super strong, and it just scales into the late game.
Oh, Mountain might be in trouble. Actually, no, a nice little Howling Gale. The presence of Obvious seemed to force them away as well, and Voidal and Odoamne decided not to go too deep on that. And you rightly point out there that first Dragon buff not quite as impactful, but the second one more impactful, especially when you've got the Corki in your team, plus split push in both lanes where damage to the tower is only going to be more effective.
That second Dragon is super good now to snowball the game. If you have the lead, if you can actually get into the towers here, you have so much more damage. Exactly 15% on the towers to just take them down fast. And they give 25 more gold as well to everyone. So it simply helps you if you do win the early game, get the gold lead and snowball. Because we have seen on 4.20, the games would draw out a little bit. It was very hard for teams to finish unless they got like 5 dragons or they just were way too far hitting kills.
It's interesting talking to the teams about the balance. Obviously, we were talking about it 420, you know, whether it's worth just sticking at the towers now, going for it. Now, of course, they have more gold, 25 per person, so global gold. And then compared to just going for dragons, going for dragons, going for dragons. Some teams will always value dragons over it. Talking to Scar earlier on, CLG, they're just like, it's just not worth it. And then also talking about the fact that the dragon stacking has kind of become this mental battle that teams are sort of facing.
Ticking time bomb.
Yeah, ticking time bomb. We saw it in the North American LCS Expansion Tournament when the team got that 5 stacks and was like, yeah, we've got it. And then they lost the fight, and then they lost the game, and everyone's just like, what just happened? Because obviously a little bit of overconfidence possibly coming in there. They've got, well, it'd be 12% buff now on 421. Obviously, North America was played on 420, so it would have been a 16% double up in the damage. But it really can sort of play with teams' minds, I think, right now, this buff stacking.
Well, if there's a team that could do that, the self-proclaimed Tilt Boys might be a team that could take advantage of that one, but we are going to see them. That's a nice little Howling Gale to stop Lou. Let's get in. So Pure Effect, they were going low, but he took Odoamne down before they could actually finish off. A little bit disjointed there by H2k. Also, big props to Mountain and that Howling Gale that stopped Jarvan's diving.
Super good engage. Janna is a very, very good pick against Jarvan because you can stop him from going in, and even if he does jump in with his ulti, you have the ulti to disengage and knock him away again. So it's just a super good pick and nice play. And suddenly Odoamne walking in, getting caught out and just dies. And Xaxus, what can you do?
Oh dear, that counter strike's not even going to last. Oh, he doesn't quite get the pop, I don't think.
Oh.
No, he didn't get the last Q onto him. I can never remember what the name of that Q is, but the shurikens didn't land it.
Got away.
Very smart thing though by Fabiven here when he goes in. He actually delays his ulti, waits for the counter-strike to come down from Xaxus. As soon as he pops it, waits 1 second, counter-strike is done, then your ulti here. But the Jax got away.
Should have just said what I saw. Razor Shuriken, that's all I was after. Xaxus teleports straight back there.
The
Nothing
ninja
to be gained from it. The ninja thing is... that was... At least I said Shurikens. I was close enough. But H2k... You know, they started off very strong, but they found themselves 4-1 down in kills, and Faculty are grinding it out.
So far, yeah. I mean, again, the pick they got in the mid lane, Obvious being able to read Lulix in the early game, and being there for the counter ganks in the top lane has actually paid off for them, and for now they're holding out. This Z is still going to be a big problem, because we saw before Xaxus couldn't touch him at all. He had to jump away instantly, and
here we go.
Now there's Elisandro as well.
Yeah, TP coming in. There's the W to lock him up first. Actually, the Q missing there, but he dives in. The ultimate comes around. Shouldn't be escaping this. It's Febiven that will pick up his second kill of the game. And that's just the strength of Lissandra with the TP. Just so hard to get away from.
Yeah, it's almost impossible. If you don't know there's a ward in that bush, you obviously don't think about the option of her coming in behind you there, just killing you. Down this bottom lane, though, Sidran is able to push it up. Corki will join in. H2k so far has done a really good job of controlling the waves because the mid lane has constantly been pushed up whenever they wanted to make a gank in one of the side lanes. And now because they had to push all the way to the tower, killed it, Yarnan could just walk straight down to his bottom lane and defend the tower as well.
Yeah, Voidal was coming around just in case Cedron decided to stick around instead. He's backed off, no tower support. Remember, that went down very early on. So 2-1 in towers for H2k with that top one falling. They've left themselves fairly exposed. They still need to get this middle one down that they were trying to siege out earlier on. Let's see if this blue buff actually goes Sol's Perfect's way this day. Sol's Pure Effect, I should say. Oh, I knew I was going to say Perfect at one point. There we go. This time around, obviously, his little spiders don't steal it away from him. He does secure his, I think, first blue buff of the game.
And at this point here for Faculty, they have to find a way to get more gold on Xaxus. And they need to make sure he's not in a one-on-one against the Zed here. because he will die every single time. So H2k are using that information because Xaxus is now up in this top lane farming to just push elsewhere on the map, and obviously the Dragon being live in 25 seconds, forcing Xaxus as well to calm down, take a team fight. He only has a Trinity Force, so he's super squishy at this point.
Let's see if they can lock him up. odoamne will be the perfect person to actually do that to them. But let's see, as those wards cleared out, the pink from the Death Brush will go down. It's Faculty that have their position right now on top of Dragon. There it is, giving itself a bit of a roar as it dives down into the pit. I'm even commentating what's going on the map. Thanks, Riot, for you know, adding those little touches in there. Gives me a little more to talk about as we go. Funnily enough, nothing really happening for that moment there. H2k went back to mid lane. Faculty thought we're going to lose our tower. They go back there. Ooh. And now once again they come back to Dragon. But Febiven is on the bottom side of him. He could be the danger man, especially when Cedrion's only at half HP.
Yeah, look for the Lissandra engage here to pop the Jenna ulti, and then Febiven can go in here for the Pixman. Oh, actually going for Sus Perfect.
Trying to start something off in that mid lane. Instead, Voidal's been caught up. Has to pop that ultimate very early on. And then remember, Febiven wasn't with this fight. Now he's going to come in. There it is. Lolex gets himself one, but that's quickly traded. Cedron takes down the jungler, Lolex. And now, with the jungler down, this is a tricky situation for H2k. They can't smite out that Dragon. Instead, they may try and force out this one remaining middle turret.
Yeah, still a lot of healthy members here for both teams. And H2k saying, we don't care about the Dragon right now because you're moving down towards it. So you open up this mid lane and we can just take the tower. It was already low from before. And H2k, as long as they can clear out the pink wards now, they should be able to get the Dragon.
Which is, you know, not even a trade there. They walk towards Dragon, realize, oh, damn it, we're losing a tower, and then walk slowly backwards. They lose the tower, and they might just end up losing the Dragon anyway at this rate. Lolex, of course, sporting back in. And we did see Elise recalling, so that means the Dragon number 2 is gifted along with the tower.
Yeah, second Dragon now. You have the damage to the towers. I feel like in Faculty on 4.20, wouldn't actually have walked down to this Dragon here. They wouldn't have minded the 15% more damage to minions to go over to H2k. But because it's the tower damage and they're running this 1-3-1, they're too afraid of losing a fight in a side lane and just lose your tower instantly before you can react and trying to defend it.
Well, big stacks of gold. You can see Lissandra backing away, 2k on him, so that's going to be well spent. 0-3-2. Didn't have a greatest of starts, but now once odoamne gets going on that Lissandra, we'll see what items he's managed to stack out there. And there's Morel Nomicon already complete. There's the Lucidity Boots as well as a needlessly large rod. So we'll see if he goes for DFG there, since he has got a Amp Tome also in his bag. Meanwhile, and Faculty seem a little bit lost on what to do here. They've warded out their jungle a little, but that's about all. They're kind of running around the middle of the map and like, where are they? I don't know.
Yeah, they're trying to look for a pick here, but instead H2k just bully their way in, straight into the jungle. Looking for obvious here, forcing his flash, and Lissandra should have the Hourglass completed soon, which obviously is one of the key items as well. We saw her item path is basically Morel Nomicon. You get your cooldown reduction boots, you have 40% cooldown reduction, 1.7 second cooldowns on your Q. You're suddenly just a monster.
Yeah, and that's kind of the beauty. I mean, even 0-3, no kills to name those 2 assists, you're going to get to that point where you're just hard to kill and you've got the control. And that was actually...
Quick QSS.
Yeah, QSS. I didn't even notice that Cedric had picked that up, but a big thing. I mean, walking straight out of it, and now they're actually going to start the engage here. Sos Purefect, where's he going? He went down towards the bottom side, forcing a flash away from Voidal there, forcing odoamne to flash as well. So not only do they get that Lissandra ultimate down, although be it not exactly a big cooldown, they managed to burn a couple of flashes. And there is a red buff taken for obvious as well. Really nicely done.
Very nice disengage here. I'm not sure H2k had actually seen the QSS on Cedric here, because he just popped it instantly. Yeah. He just bought it now. It is of course a little bit cheaper, and it's very good to get early on your AD carries against something like a Lissandra to avoid this all-in potential here. So good disengage, forced a few flashes. Sadly though, H2k are just back pushing.
Yeah, they're fast moving across the map here, but Faculty are reacting quick enough. They should be in place to clear this wave. That bookshot doing work, as well as Sos Purefect. So nothing gained for H2k. 2 flashes were burned for 1, and they will step away. That top wave, while it's nice that Febiven can push it in, it's kind of feeding Xaxus, and he's quite happy to take all that farm.
Yeah, as long as he can sit there and defend, and Febiven can't actually dive him yet. Also due to all the defensive wards we see from Faculty that plays here, they knew as soon as the dragon was gone, the global objective now is not there, so now the focus is going to be on the lanes, and therefore we have to ward up our own jungle because we know H2k is going to be split pushing. They want to run in between the lanes. What you want to do in this setup here, when you have the Zed pushing in on Jackson topside, the Jarvan just runs from mid lane through the jungle as long as you have the vision control, and you just dive the Jax and you just kill him instantly. Take the tower here. So good defensive wards from Faculty and holding on for now. I'm not sure though why Xaxus is building magic resist. His job is going to be one-on-oneing the Zed for the next 10-15 minutes.
Well, and the funny thing is there, I do believe he's got just about enough gold. In fact, he's got enough gold now to turn that pickaxe into a last wisp. Actually, he'll be a little bit behind because there's no longsword in there, but he's not very far off that. And I mean, already got Ghostblade, already got that Blade of the Ruin King up against Jax, who's actually now got himself 2 cloth armors. I mean, 2 cloth armors probably not going to help you out a massive amount either.
No, so what Xaxus is doing now is basically saying, I'm not going to win this one-on-one. So that means they're going to start building tanky, so I can actually be useful in team fights as the frontline tank here. That's also why he got the tenacity. Simply just makes him weaker in the one-on-one against Forbidden here, but he should be able to TP in, join a 5 versus 5 if Faculty can get a pick.
Yeah, and that's going to rely a lot on Soz Purefect's charms, I feel, when this finally comes around. Of course, Cedrin with that QSS earlier on, we've seen already that he can clear himself out of danger, and he was very quick to use it, actually, the moment he got frozen by Odoamne. So, got the reaction speed he needs at the moment. We do see Xaxus being closed in on a little bit. You can see Obvious just giving him a little support and smited away the Gromp, so made sure that didn't get stolen away. There's the Warden's Mail completed. Dragon's a minute away, so they're going to get that Scuttle Crab just in time to give them all the vision they need.
And right now H2k are just waiting for this dragon here, because if you notice the wards on the map, they haven't really placed them too deep inside the jungle, just around the Baron here, around the entrance to the jungle. So if they move all the way up to the tier 2 turrets now, they won't actually have the wards to cover it. So to me, this looks like they're gonna wait for this dragon. 50 seconds, and yeah, a lot of pink wards being bought here.
And we see the push. Oh, Odoamne. I've done that before. Pressed E a little bit too early and ends up face planting into the wall. But they are going to do some good damage onto that tower. We're seeing Faculty trying to reply to this one, but it's just a ton of damage coming in, and it will actually go down, will it? There's 3 more minions. They seem a little bit apprehensive about staying around now that the 5th man actually joined in there. Well, that's should be just one hit, I think, from Corki to finish off that tier 2 turret in this bottom lane. H2k actually seen that ward go down, will scan it out, and Febiven's just moving off to another lane to continue the split.
Yeah, look at the top lane here. H2k build up a slow pushing wave, which is just going to become bigger and bigger and bigger. And by now moving Febiven away from the team, he can push up the mid lane, hit the tower. When someone comes to defend, he can just walk straight up to the top lane, push it in as well, and draw people away from this bottom side of the map and away from the dragon.
It's a risky game they're playing with the dragon just spawning. They're going to go straight for it. You can see Faculty all moving in. Oh, they don't have Soz Purefect with them. It's enough to draw H2k away from the dragon this time, though.
Yeah, and there's no teleport on the Zed, so only 4 members from H2k here. They might have to go with the dragon. No, they're going in.
Oh, they're stalling it away as well. Jarvan able to get the smite down onto that one. Obvious was just a little bit too early, and H2k actually getting away. Will they survive here? Odoamne steps forward, and that will stop Soz Purefect in his tracks. Meanwhile, Zed is wrecking their towers on that top lane. Might even get some damage onto the inhibitor tower here if they're able to chase back. As Jax got away.
Yeah, I wasn't sure if he was going to flank around the back of them, and he could easily. There was a lot of summoners burnt by Faculty just to try and chase, to try and catch them. So Soz Purefect burning out Spirit Rush and Flash and Ignite to try and get onto them, but nothing was picked up. That worked out so perfectly for H2k there. They just literally got everything they needed.
Yeah, they managed to steal the dragon, even though Faculty with 5 members there. Lose the dragon, no 6% for you, and at this point for H2k, it's all about denying that first dragon. Because we're getting in towards the late game where these 6% really start scaling, and you don't want Faculty to get them.
So close. Xaxus, is he going to be able to counter-strike jump? Not quite close enough, and again, seems to be the story of the game for Faculty. Close, but not quite there. And they do just back away once again, not catching on them. They got the red buff, small victory, but not really one that they're going to want so far. But as has been pointed out a couple of times throughout 420, 421, you can't snowball a gold lead, but when you start taking the towers, you get the dragon buffs, it's a stealth buildup of snowball, and then it just hits you in the face.
Exactly. It's slower, but it hits you way harder once you get that 5th dragon, which H2k looking super good towards getting that dragon. I mean, they have 3 already, 0-4 in faculty. No reason for H2k to give up the pressure on the map. Zed is just going to be stronger and stronger. Nobody's been able to stop him. Ari with an Hourglass can outplay him, but she's also a full... Actually, she just completed Void Staff, so she's no longer full item behind. But Sus Perfect, he really needs to outplay Forbidden here.
But you can see the QSS there picked up
Charm,
Forbidden, so
QSS.
Charm is not going to work out anymore, so Sos Perfect literally can't solo him. And he was actually waiting in the tri-bush, and I think he just saw the item pick up, and he's just like, nope, not going to do it. Backing away, not going to work out for me. And Forbidden basically having a little free PvE game for himself at the moment. He's just farming away, pushing them waves. 315 CS way ahead at the moment. And that top lane, wow, second tower of the game going to go down for Faculty because of Winians.
Look at this bot lane. I mean, it's already been pushed up. They're just waiting for someone to show themselves. Pushing 2 lanes. So they have actually gone away from this 1-3-1, and you just keep Lissandra with the team in the mid lane. So there are 4 members pushing 1 lane, and obviously the Zed on his own every single time.
Might even be a better scenario for them here as well, because of the fact that Zed is just so ridiculously strong right now that safely you can't just send 1 man over there. You probably need 2 to actually kill him off. There's a blue buff to Odoamne. And
Face checking a few walls
no
today.
one saw that one either.
Just a few. Well, for now, I mean, H2k, they can decide. Do we want to wait for the next dragon? Do we want to go towards getting 5 dragons here? Or do we want to focus on the Baron buff? They have set up a lot of wards, and Zazas, he's gonna die.
Yeah, oh, that's not a trade he can win. Oh, perfect timing by Forbidden.
Yeah.
It's just the same again. You go and you shadow in towards the Jax here. He pops his Counter-Strike, otherwise he takes too much damage. And as soon as the Counter-Strike is gone, you just ulti with the Zed because you are so far ahead. And meanwhile, H2k just forcing in Faculty to keep 4 members around his Baron. So it's perfect. Maybe the next guy to try and challenge Forbidden. Seems not.
Well, they're keeping 4 people in that mid lane, and look at Forbidden, he's just pushing up there. Sos Perfect going to have to go across, and that's going to give up the mid lane. They're trying to throw everything at them, it seems, here, just to keep them away. Forbidden's given up the chase. He's not going to keep pushing. Instead, he's going to come across and see if he can flank.
Yeah, and I always feel like this inner turret is such a perfect place for Lissandra as well, because you can come in from left or right through the walls, and you know, all the way back to, I remember LCS when we first saw it coming in mid lane and top lane. That happens so often. You can land those. Well, you have the ability to land those. We'll see. I mean, Odoamne has to get past the walls first, which have actually proved a bit of a challenge for him so far today. But there's a ward down inside of the Baron pit, so that will give Faculty a little bit of breathing room. And they've pushed this bottom wave now away from that inhibitor turret, which was always going to be the threat. Did actually see Zed go back, and he picked up a BF sword.
Notice how H2k, they kind of rotate who's going back. It's not all 5 members just recalling, and then suddenly all your pink wards at Baron you placed beforehand are just gone instantly, which is something we have seen in the EU LCS quite a lot. And then you have to redo the whole thing. It takes another 5 minutes. Instead here, they kept Lissandra, even Jarvan was around, then Corki recalls, then Zed recalls, and you kind of rotate the recalls here. Super smart, and basically making sure Faculty can never go in and clear these pinks.
I'm glad some teams learn from Worlds. That was one of the big things we discovered, that at least the Asian teams defended their pink wards as soon as they placed them down. They didn't just put a pink ward into a death bush like that one there and just walk away. It's like, well, we had vision, we lost it. You know, we couldn't, nothing we could do about it. It's like, well, you could have defended the damn thing. That's
or
what
you could go back and buy more pinks.
You could.
And showing your dominance because you can afford all these pinks.
I've got lots of money. At the moment, though, Forbidden is the one hoping that Obvious was going to walk into a clear trap, but not going to happen. It's always been hooked up. It's not going to get followed through by Voidalo. The rest of his team are with him. Dragon number 4 spawning any moment. Will H2k get a clean one in this one? It looks like in Faculty they're falling for that mind game. They feel they have to fight for it now.
I mean, they have to do something here. They have to hope to just land the charm from Sus Perfect here, blow up a target. Odoamne not face checking the wall this time around, but they're going in. Or not.
Well,
I thought they actually were. I thought Zed was about to dive in from the side. They decided against that one, though. He's actually swept out this brush, though, so actually probably could 1v2 Obvious and Zazas. Maybe not quite the rest of them, but look at the poke damage there that Obvious is taking. Qs one after the other really coming out from Odo Amni, and certainly Sting at this point of the game. Meanwhile, Hjarnan just pushed up completely alone on this mid lane. Can they actually get in? Odo Amni going to take a lot of damage after getting charmed, though. Zaza spots that Zed is there and says, no, I need to run away. They just go back to Dragon at this point.
Just an impossible situation for Faculty. They're forced into this choke point here where Lisandro can just spam Q, where the Zed as well with the ninja thingies onto the members, constantly poking them down, and you have no hard engage on the side of Faculty. You need to land a charm, or Zazas has to jump in as the Jax here, who's not even that tanky.
Well, they've juggled the damage well. They see the teleport coming in this time. Will they catch on to Odo Amne? The charm goes out, not going to land in the right place. The Mountain takes that instead. He runs away. They're going to try and chase around. Which way this one's going to go? Sidrian, take around the side, take it very low, drop down. Zazas around the backside, manages to get one, but he's trapped in towards that Cataclysm. Voidal low, but that's not really the target they want. Jumps away, Leap strikes out of there. It's a 4v3, 4v4 now as Monk chases back in there. Obvious so low, gets the fangs in, manages to get the kill on Odo Amne, but it's a double for Forbidden, who continues to chase on towards their Faculty.
Well, what a team fight here. Teleport in from Odo Amne, instantly just pops his own ult here because he knows he's going to be the target. And yet though, H2k pick up 3 kills, but Faculty fighting back a little bit here. Got 2 kills at least. We'll still lose the tower, or almost. And Dragon is actually also still alive.
Yeah, I mean, fighting's not actually been a problem throughout this. They've had the kill lead for most of it. The problem is then, you know, coming out more than even in these fights. For Bivin, who you'd expect is someone that you've got to focus down to kill, actually went pretty much unhurt. This is at TP once again, instant teleport on himself.
Yes, Odo Amne, he knows now a lot of people are just going to try and destroy him instantly, so pops the ulti. And this is actually just a bit split up from H2k. Hjarnan running down the bottom side of the screen. Zazas will be able to pick him up here so far. Trading 1 for 1. And then it's just a little bit of a messy trade.
No kidding, hard to call it.
It's super hard. I mean, they're just chasing a little bit here. Obvious will get a kill in the end. And Faculty actually got the Dragon. The Baron is being taken though.
Yeah, and by teleport on himself, I of course meant ultimate himself rather than teleporting on himself, which makes no sense. And there is the Baron going down, and there is the dive onto Mountain, and well, he is going to be locked up and finished off. That's now a 5 versus 4 for the next 40 seconds. What can H2k do with that, with those extra beefy minions going in with them?
Well, seeing as split pushing when you have a Baron buff is even better than it ever was, they can probably do quite a lot here because Febiven, when he has an army of minions behind him and he can kill everyone in a one-on-one, probably even in a 1v2. Right now H2k should be able to break into the base of Faculty, and we just saw the whole ticking time bomb thing where, oh, we have to get this dragon, we cannot afford them getting 5 dragons, and H2k just run straight to Baron because they know Faculty wants to try and get the dragon.
Well, they got the wall on at least, but not too sure how that was going to work out. As you mentioned, Forbidden already off in that top lane, pushing in those minions, buffing them up. You can see they're going to chunk in. That's going to be a heck of a wave by the time he gets there. Already got 2 siege cannons in there with him. And of course now with that Baron buff, they can outrange the turret itself. So you have to go out and fight them. And when there's a Zed sat ready and waiting for you, it's a tricky thing. And I went a bit Jonathan Wass there for a moment.
It's all white, mate. Oh, they've actually caught Odo Amne out there, and he wasn't quick enough to use his Zhonya's. He had his ultimate available as well, which wasn't used, so really locking him down. But this entire time, Forbidden with those minions pushing the top turret, and look how quickly they go down. That is that one. And you know what? He might be able to 2v1 them here if he decides to turn around and go for it, especially with that Bloodthirster on. Already used his Ghost Blade earlier, though, as he was taking out that tower. And in the end, he traded 1 for an inhibitor turret, which they'll be happy with. It might even be more for Bivin stepping forward, and Zazas runs with his tail between his legs back to base. Still,
not the first time in this game Odo Amne has actually been caught out and just instantly died here, meaning H2k could only take the top turret and then had to back away, waiting for him to respawn. So far, Faculty keeping all the inhibitors at least. The tower is gone, the base is open, and Forbidden can just return to the top side if he wants to.
Gotta learn to click that ulti button or the All the Zhonya's.
Or the outlines.
Yeah,
It should have teleported on himself again.
Maybe. So, 8-8. All squaring kills, but very different story if you were to look at the gold on the board. You can see all of those inner turrets are now down. Tell a lie because the middle one's still alive. It's the top inhibitor turret that is down and exposed in the top lane. So far, it's really been Forbidden. Split push, get a kill, get a tower. 6-0, quite happy at the moment. Nobody can challenge him. Nobody can go near him. While the rest of the team just basically keeps Faculty busy.
We've barely seen the bottom lane from H2k because they didn't really have to do anything. Sit in mid lane, push it up, land a few rockets from the Corki, and you just wait for the split push to do the work here. Now they're splitting up in the 1-3-1 again. You have the minions, obviously no Baron buff on Odoamne at this point. And you're unforbidden because it was actually shorter here in 4:21.
Yes,
lost a minute.
Drop down to a minute, drop down to 3 minutes, so you can't look at it and see the quarter is a minute. It's down to a third now. It makes it tricky for us guys to have to watch it where
I
there's no
didn't even
live
understand
counter.
what you just said, so
4
definitely
minutes,
tricky.
4 quarters.
No, a quarter is now thirds.
It's easy to look at the buff before, but now you got to look at a third and say, okay, there's only 3 minutes left, etc., etc., etc. Any future casters out there, that's what they got to look at.
Good for them.
Yeah.
There's a turret going down. The final one outside of the base for Faculty. And, well, how do you hold on against this team? It surprised me with so many mid lane bans that Forbidden even got his hands on that Zed, which is he's already shown in the past that he's very, very good on.
Yeah.
And he's 6-0-0, which tells me he probably won't get it again.
Well, the 2 mid lane bans from Faculty was Xerath, and I believe it was some other champion which has very long range. The point is...
Syndra, it was Syndra.
Was it Syndra?
No,
Okay.
it wasn't.
Some excited faces on Faculty there. They're enthralled
It
by
was
this one.
Jace and Xerath, of course. So they're banning out these long range poke champions here for him, and instead he just picks up the Zed and goes for split pushing. So clearly showing here he can do multiple things. There's QSS completed on Xaxus, which is going to be very important in the one-on-one, as you can cleanse the ulti from Zed here. And it actually works against 2 champions, both Lissandra and Zed from the side of Faculty.
Heal from Cedrion, saving his life there, almost popped and blown down. Forbidden, again, given free roam, comes in towards the mid lane. This time around, Xaxus will jump on him and just force him away, but that top tower is down. Remember, the inhibitor so low, getting poked at from range, not quite getting in close enough. They're keeping at bay right now, but how long is it going to last? Does Xaxus fancy chasing? He's getting stronger and stronger. Everybody knows that Jax will become this unstoppable force, but Forbidden is already there. And these two, they keep sensing each other out, like, I'm going to go for you, I'm going to go for it. No, actually, no, I'm not sure. They're just a little unclear on each other, and of course, with Forbidden, with that Bloodthirster on, a Blood Shield built up, not exactly the ideal time. So, H2k back away, take some time, spend some gold. Odoamne is the one that's going away, but they're actually going to chase on this. Oh, Cocoon almost catching on Odoamne.
But the problem here now for Faculty is, even though H2k are waiting and giving them time to get the items, get some more gold towards the late game, Dragon is about to spawn, Baron is 1 minute as well, and you cannot afford to lose 2 more Dragons. So they will be forced out of the base, will be forced in to try and contest it, or just take a team fight.
Oh, they got the hog there, but where's the rest of the team? Odoamne, I think, is on the bottom side. Lolex coming back around. They've actually gone for the AD carry, but Odoamne has to use his Zhonya's. Cedrion will get locked up inside the Cataclysm. So it's Perfect also uses a Zhonya. He got blasted down. Forbidden just ripping through them at this point, and surely this is going to be the end of it. We see one go down. The second drops on the top side. It will be the ace for H2k, and they're going to win game 1 right here.
Very, very strong performance in the very first game for H2k. The first game they've won in an expansion tournament. And super important for them because they are the team. If they lose the first game, we have seen them, should we say, lose focus and not really be able to come back. So very important they win the first game.
Yeah, they are the strong favorites, and they are 1-0 up. It is a best of 5. There is a lot of games to go. And that's why they're not looking quite so excited about that first victory. They are playing it very, very calm and collected, I think it's safe to say. But 9-0 for Forbidden this time around. Solid Zed play. We talked about Zed being banned out a lot. I think we've just seen why.
I mean, it reminds me of when I played with Bjergsen, and this was our tactic pretty much every single game.
Now, mate.
It is a long time ago, but we would get Zed, and we would just sit back, wait for the split push to work, wait so he could one-on-one everyone. And you saw H2k, they took no chances. They would simply wait, constantly let him push it in, slowly get 1 dragon, 2 dragons, 3 dragons, even take the Baron. Played it slowly, but fairly safe. Only Odoamne actually got caught out.
Yeah, talking about perfect play, you know, look at Voidal, 0-0-10, 13 kills overall. Obviously, a couple of them were complete solo jobs by Forbidden on his own. So, you know, he was with the team. There were 4 members, no problem. The only poor guy that was taking all the abuse was Odoamne. He was the one that was getting popped a number of times, but solid play overall. And Faculty need to look at this one because they were being countered every step of the way. They were the ones having to react to anything H2k did. They need to figure out what they're going to do next.
Yeah, a lot of work to do here for, in fact, you see them talking there. But for now, before we get into game number 2, we're going to head over to Shocks, Crepo and Dexter to break down game 1.